Some people choose a college because it's close or because it seems practical. But the students who thrive at Williams, they come here because they believe their life has a bigger purpose. That's what Preview Day is all about. It's not just a tour or a free lunch or even just a chance to sit in on classes. It's a glimpse of community. A community that believes education isn't just about getting a degree. It's about discovering who you're meant to be. When I came to Preview Day, I didn't just see classrooms or dorms. I saw professors who cared, students who welcomed me, and a place that helped me imagine a future I actually wanted. That's why I knew this is where I belonged. Come see for yourself. Sign up today at williamsbu.edu/preview.
Welcome to the Life Work Podcast. My name is Stan Norman. I serve as your host of this podcast, and we are blessed to have Dr. Michael, not Jay, Fox, back on the podcast with us. We talked last time about your own journey and work, your testimony a little bit, and kind of since we were walking with Mikey, which is what you said, what people called you when you were growing up.
Yes.
This one, we're going to pivot a little bit into the more, I don't want to say academic side, but more of the pastoral side of this, where I ask you to kind of walk us through some biblical teachings on work. You are a Bible scholar, an accomplished Bible scholar, particularly in the Old Testament, and I thought it might be good to let our readers hear some of what God has taught you and through you and your understanding of Scripture, how you might serve as an encouragement to those that are listening to us. So, first off, where are we going in the Bible? Where are you taking us?
Well, I'd like to just jump into my own passion, if you don't mind, the wisdom literature. I love the wisdom literature.
Okay.
It's my favorite part of the Bible.
And for our listeners that may not know what that is, isn't it all wisdom literature?
I suppose it is, but specifically, 4 books are what they name themselves sort of as wisdom literature. They use that word. They talk about the fear of the Lord.
Okay.
They give us boundaries on how to live in God's world. And of course, those are Proverbs, Job, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Songs.
Now, you know, in our pre-discussion, we identified a book of the Bible that is specifically got to be about the doctrine or theology of work, and that is the book of Job. Yeah, Job. It was out there, had to go there. It was just like, okay, forgive me. Okay, we're going to Proverbs?
Yeah, we'll go to Proverbs.
Okay, well, we are along for the ride. You're driving. Take us where you want us to go.
Yeah, well, let's just start broad and narrow down. And what I'm going to do is just kind of walk us through the first instruction of Proverbs in just a moment.
Okay.
So, let me tell you where my own journey is with wisdom and work and theology and work.
Sure.
And the Bible and work. These are the books that my passion is there. Part of why I came to Williams is because I knew we had this Williams Works initiative.
Came as a faculty member.
Came as a faculty member, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I've come twice, so I do need to clarify that. Came as a student, came back as a faculty member in, a year ago now.
That's right.
Starting year 2. I felt like my interest in these wisdom books of the Bible and Williams' emphasis on work and theology and vocation and ministry, how these things are all related, and how we can impact a lot of lives with this little matrix of ideas and terms from the Bible. I felt like they were a natural fit. And of course I came back because I love Williams, and Rachel loves Williams, and we want to be part of life. But also it needed to fit well, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so after talking with you last summer, I realized, I think we're going to have a lot of fun looking at these things together. It's going to be a lot of work. We got a lot of things out ahead of us. But all that's to say, let me narrow this down. In a broad way, I'm real excited to look at how these 4 wisdom books give us a lot for wisdom and theology and vocation.
Sure.
And work and ministry. Yeah. One of the things you pointed out to me, and I see this now myself, not a lot has been done. Systematic theologies, big doctrine books.
Sure.
they tend not to have this discussion in them.
Little to nothing.
Mm-hmm. I've turned to Old Testament theologies. I got a lot on my shelves. They tend to emphasize creation, obviously, naturally. But even in those discussions where work should come in, what are humans? Why did God make humans? What are humans supposed to do? They don't have sections on that. They don't have an emphasis there. They don't give those discussions their own place. And I think, after hearing the first series of these podcasts on Genesis and work and theology in the Bible, it's definitely there.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely there. So let's go even narrower. I have books, shelves and shelves of books on wisdom, on theology of wisdom, commentaries on these books, on Job, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, Proverbs. I've got dozens of books. And even going through I'm thinking of one right now. I don't want to point out any authors or name drop or anything and say, look what they didn't do. But that said, I have books that are literally theologies of the wisdom literature. They get so close, Dr. Norman. They get so close. They get within the 10-yard line sometimes.
Why do you think they don't go into that?
I'm puzzled by it.
Yeah.
I'm puzzled by it.
Because it's like it's staring you in the face.
Yes.
You're looking at it, and then you turn and go a different direction.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's where we come in. Maybe we help people see it.
Well, I hope so. That's one of the purposes of this podcast.
Absolutely. So let me start broadly, and then I'll narrow down. And I'll just read Proverbs 1, verse 8 through 19 with everyone and try to show them what I'm talking about here. These 4 wisdom books, I'm not saying work is the main thing. The fear of the Lord's the main thing.
Sure.
The fear of the Lord is. They tell you that. They emphasize this point. Proverbs 1:7 gives us the famous line, the fear of the Lord's the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. The lady at the end of the book, the wise lady, in Proverbs 31, she fears the Lord.
Yeah.
Job is character, part of the injustices we feel in Job is this is a man who, chapter 1 tells us, feared the Lord. These things shouldn't have happened to him, but they did. Yeah. Ecclesiastes kind of works through all the meaninglessnesses that we encounter in life, and at the end reminds us, well, you better fear the Lord. Yeah. And then Song of Songs shows us 2 people who feared the Lord even more than they feared the king and repercussions and this and that. They just want to keep their marriage covenant because they feared the Lord. Yeah. So I want to acknowledge that. But work is not the main thing. The fear of the Lord is. And yet, these books have a lot to say about work, vocation. So I'll get to Proverbs in a second. But when we think of Job, this book starts out showing us, hey, here's a guy who was a complete. King James says a perfect man, which kind of means complete. He was right with God, right with neighbor. He had his act together. He was complete. And then it says, well, here's evidence of that. And it goes right into his vocation in chapter 1. He had this many herds, this many people working for him. Right. It gets into his economic life. Yeah. Ecclesiastes, I think it's no accident that the ancient Israelites put Proverbs and Ecclesiastes right next to each other in the Bible, in their sacred scriptures. Because, if Proverbs is going to tell us all the good of work, Ecclesiastes needs to be there to talk
about working thorns and thistles.
Yes, thorns and thistles. Why is it so hard? Why is it unsatisfying? Yeah. It helps us even put work in the right place. And then, Song of Songs, it starts out with a lady who's in Solomon's chamber, so to speak. She asks her beloved, come get me. The king has forced me in his chambers. And she goes through a beautiful poem. And then the beloved speaks up, well, you know where to find me. You follow those paths and come to where the shepherds are. And that's where I'm at. And so and I love Song of Songs, and I think the pendulum, we used to talk about the spiritual meaning of it. I think the pendulum has swung too far. Now we're talking about probably a little too much of the sensuality, like that's the only thing or the main thing. That's just part of it. Right. But in chapter 1, it's very prominent in the text. She is a poor vine keeper out in the fields. And her beloved is a shepherd. Their vocation is made very prominent in the book. And these are vocations that in their day would have been the least so to speak. But that's part of the wisdom of that book, that the least can be the greatest if they trust God and his covenants and fear the Lord.
And then there's Proverbs.
Now, I think most people, if you're listening to a Bible podcast and a work in theology podcast, you probably know Proverbs has a lot to say about work.
It does.
It has a lot to say about loans, taking loans, being ethical, not trying to cut corners, not trying to cheat. So I think any one of us could get online and Google what does Proverbs say about work, and I'm sure AI would blip immediately and tell us, well, it says these things, and then maybe half of that would be right and half of it would be a little off, right? AI still work in progress.
Still work in progress. There you go.
But I think you could probably find some good resources. Classic commentary by Derek Kidner on Proverbs, which I think was in the old Tyndale commentaries.
It was.
He even gives some subjects, and you can find the sluggard is one of his subjects. You can look in there and find all the verses that have to do with slothfulness and not wanting to work, and the Lord knows we have those days too, and we need those reminders. But Dr. Norman, I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think it's more than just finding verses and putting them together in a list, and I really think it's a conceptual idea. It's a big idea that's sort of an underpinning for the whole book.
And we found that these verses here at the beginning?
We do. And let's
Okay.
just jump right in. So in a better world, we would have all the coffee we need, and we could talk about the first 7 verses for hours and then get into our text I want to look at. But for now, we'll just say, when you come to Proverbs...
Well, we can have you back.
Yeah. Good reminder. Thank you. But the first 7 verses, they get you started the right way. It says, Proverbs of Solomon. I'll just kind of speed through some ideas there. To know wisdom, receive instruction, to give prudence. Verse 6, to understand. Verse 5 really sets the tone. Let the wise hear and increase in learning. And the one who understands obtain guidance. I guess the intro of the book's trying to get us in the right posture.
Right.
If you want to enter this domain, if you want to get wise, if you want to study wisdom, you better be willing to receive.
Okay.
It's time for us to close our mouths, to hear the text, to take in instead of give out. And then, of course, verse 7. The whole book is going to be under this umbrella. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. That's our theme. That is the main thing.
Okay.
So, put it this way. The first 9 chapters of the book, they give us these really long instructions. Then you get to chapter 10 and the rest of the book, from 10 to 31, you pretty much get all these wise sayings, the actual Proverbs of the book. So you can break Proverbs in half.
Okay.
You get 9 chapters that are long instructions, and it's like they're preparing you then to actually get and puzzle out the individual Proverbs.
Okay.
All that's to say, let's just read through and listen to the very first instruction then. This is the first instruction of the book. This is where this collection of wise sayings starts.
Okay.
So we're going to break it down into 3 parts. First, verses 8 and 9. Hear, my son, your father's instruction. Forsake not your mother's teaching. For they are a graceful garland for your head and pendants for your neck. And then verse 10, we'll get there in a second. My son, if sinners and it's going to switch. We'll get into the second part. So it opens with this call. Listen to mom, listen to dad. They have things to say. Those teachings they have for you, they may be better adornments, even better things you can wear, more beautiful things, more significant things than all these riches and jewelry and other things out there. So it's a call. Listen, and that fits again with verse 5. Let the wise hear and increase in learning. But really, when we get into this second part, verse 10, I think this is where the rubber hits the road for work and theology and vocation. My son, if sinners entice you, if they tempt you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without reason. Like Sheol, or the grave, or hell in some translations, like Sheol, let us swallow them alive and whole, like those who go down to the pit. we shall find all precious goods. We shall fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot among us. We will all have one purse. Now we'll stop there. Verse 15 will get us to the last part. Okay. My son, do not walk, ...
That's a pretty dark picture.
It is. And I always say to my classes when we study wisdom, Proverbs, it doesn't tap the gas at the beginning. It slams it to the floor. It's basically saying, my son, you need to be careful because people are going to come and they're going to offer you a way to cut corners. Okay. They're going to say, you don't have to work that hard. You don't have to play by the rules. Come with us, we'll cut the corners. We'll kill someone and take what they have. We'll all divide that up, and look what we'll have. We'll be rich.
Wow.
So it slams the pedal down to the floor immediately for the book. And I always ask students, isn't that crazy? And we have a lot of great discussions in class about this. But if we think about it, this is... What's the word? This dovetails with our concern for vocation and theology and work. This is the heart of Proverbs. There is a God, yes, cutting corners. There's a God who governs the world. He's in charge of the world. And part of living best and right is a healthy fear of the Lord. Yes, He's our friend. Yes, when we come to be people of God, He's our Savior. He's a Father. He adopts us. We're part of His family. We're part of His kingdom. He's coming back for us one day. He's going to bring us to Himself. And yet, in this world, there is a healthy fear of the Lord. Yes.
So is it fair to say, based on what you were saying, that part of the fear of the Lord is related to work? It is refraining, rebuking, cutting corners, and being fully invested in your work.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
And that is there in these verses in Proverbs.
I feel it's hitting us right in the face, isn't it? It's there.
Wow.
And once you see it, you almost can't unsee it, right?
Well, yeah. That's profound. And it's, I had never, again, I am relearning to read my Bible, hopefully appropriately, and seeing appropriately and rightly where vocation or calling or work are addressed. And you're right, now that you point that out, a full investment in the fear of the Lord means a full investment in working the right way, working with right motives, working with the right outcomes and productivity, and cutting corners is the path of the fool. Is that fair?
It is fair, and I think it's such a guiding text for what we want to do here at Williams, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is not only do we want to get this right and be good examples and live this way. This is really what we envision for our students.
Well, I think that's part of a Christian work ethic.
Yes.
I mean, really, when we use that term, we often think of a thing, but it is a broad concept. And I think full investment, eschewing or refraining from cutting corners, doing it the right way, the right time, with the right attitude, that is part of a robust biblical work ethic. Okay. Well, take us to the next thing then. This is really good.
Yeah, this is fun. This never gets old. I probably read Proverbs more than any other book in the Bible because I still think one day I might actually be wise if I keep reading. You can hope, right?
It is a goal.
Can hope, right?
It is a goal for my life.
And so it goes right from this invitation, verse 14, throw in your lot among us. We'll all have one purse, which is sort of a right. People they're willing to kill still. They're not willing to.
It's an empty promise or deceptive promise.
So we'll get to I guess I am a good Baptist because I see three little.
Yeah, I was thinking, good Baptist preacher, 3 points.
Yeah. But verse 15, let's just read that out. My son, going back to the parents giving this advice, do not walk in the way with them. Hold back your foot from their paths. For their feet run to evil, and they make haste, or they're in a hurry to shed blood. They're cutting corners to go shed blood to get ahead. And then a notoriously hard verse 17, for in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird, which I think if I just close my eyes and picture that, it's silly to go out and birds can see you and try to net them. You're going to have to So I think it's
there's a reason duck hunters wear camo.
Yeah, that's good.
Just bring it down to where we live here.
Yeah, that'll fly in Arkansas, right? Shout out to our friends in Stuttgart down there.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But for in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird. And the point of comparison here. But these men lie in wait for their own blood. They sit in ambush for their own lives. They don't have the fear of the Lord. And look what they don't see as opposed to what they think they see. And then verse 19, such are the ways of everyone who's greedy for unjust gain. See, right back to economics, right back to vocation, right back to work. It takes away the life of its possessors.
You know, I have never really seen this that way. And of course, with my own training, it's like, okay, if you've never seen it that way before, maybe you shouldn't see it that way before. But I think you are guiding us in a good, right reading of this passage. And it begins with listening to instruction and moving to this idea of unjust gain, and then ending there in verse 19 about dishonest profit. So, wow. What's this third point here? What are you seeing there?
Well, it's almost it goes back to where it started. You need to listen to us. We have something that's better than gold, better than jewelry, better than silver, so to speak. Then here's an example of what you're going to face, and then it kind of brings it back home. It just kind of, well, in a sense, it brings us back to verse 7, the theme verse. The fear of the Lord's the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. I think we get a lot of rich theology here.
Yeah.
All right, so sometimes we have hard discussions. It's hard to interpret the Bible, and I tell students, well, what is the Bible? We always got to go back to that. At the end of the day, I think the Bible for us and our constituency and for Williams, the Bible is God's revelation of himself to us.
Absolutely.
He
is the star of this show.
He is the star. So we're seeing here, when we put it under that and the fear of the Lord, I think we have some really rich theology. It's not just that God has made rules about work. It's also that he loves us and cares about us and wants to warn us from our own destructive tendencies and ways. That's what Proverbs is.
So let me see if I can throw at you two or three things as you were walking me through this.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, God puts people in our lives, particularly our parents, but not just our parents, to mentor us on the path of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, there is a temptation in life to work the right way, to work the wrong way, to work with an investment in God's wisdom, or to rebuke and refrain from God's wisdom and work in ways that are destructive and harmful to self and to others. And that, I guess the third observation is the path of wisdom, or maybe better said this way, the path, I'm trying to think through this, the journey of work is on the path of wisdom, the right way. Is that fair?
It is fair. What was the first one you said again? Oh, God put sources of wisdom.
Yeah.
I really don't know how to do much in life. I know it's a broad statement, but let me explain. So I've had a lot of opportunities. Over in OKC at a church, I got to do a men's Bible study. Well, I don't know what to do. So we read Proverbs together. I started a public Bible study because former students were like, hey, I need to meet. It's really hard out here. If I can put words in their mouths. It's really hard out here. Can we meet? And so I say a public Bible study. We started meeting at some local eateries, walk up, so you don't have to tip anyone, walk up, then go get your food. Former students in Christian education.
Yes. The path of frugality.
Yes, thank you. Wisdom. We'll just call it wisdom.
There you go.
And I'm cheap too, so I'm just going to lean into wisdom there. But so same thing. We kind of started. We did Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, and with that particular one, the pandemic hit. So that was all she wrote. You couldn't meet in public anymore.
Right.
So we tried some online stuff. And now that I remember, we actually did some like Google Meets or Facebook Messenger video chats or something. But all that's to say, I don't want to get too far off there. Somewhere in these discussions, it hit me, and I say this, and I say it to classes now. There are two sayings I have. One, you're as rich as you want to be. For me, that's a guiding principle. You can go around feeling sorry for yourself, thinking about what you don't have, thinking about what people aren't giving you. Yeah. Or you can stop, pause, look around, have some gratitude. For me, that I have some days where I'm a pathetic man who feels sorry for myself.
I think we all do.
Yes, but at the end of the day, I have to stop. Remember, God's made me rich. There are people out there praying for what I have in my life, for health, for kids that are healthy and follow the Lord, for a wife who loves the Lord and seeks Him and prays for people. I am a rich man. You're as rich as you want to be. You just have to stop and remember it. And the other one I say, and I'll bring it back here, you're as wise as you want to be. God has given us His holy word, the source of all wisdom. He's put people in our lives. There are mentors out there. There are wise souls. There are teachers of the word. There are places like us that are trying to work through wisdom and vocation and theology and work. There are sources of wisdom if you want it. And metaphorically in verses 8 and 9, the mother and the father are calling the child to come to turn to those sources because you're going to need them.
And you're going to need it to know how to work the right way.
You're going to need it to know how to work the right way. And I think part of our value, why is Williams here? Because it's a hard, tempting, ugly world out there, and it's really easy to make mistakes and to get off track.
Yep.
We're not perfect. We have compromised. Not we, the institution, each of us. We will do it again, but God's word provides I'm thinking of the terminology right here in our text. It provides the path, the ways, the footing for us to get back in the right, well-worn tracks and get it right again,
The two basic core realities we read of in Genesis for human existence. Number one, family, community. And number two, work, vocation. Oh, wow. Yeah. Both of those are to be lived in the wisdom of the Lord, the fear of the Lord.
Wow. And both present here in this text.
Right.
That's cool.
Mike, thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to have you back. Better bring that biblical interpretation with you because we're going to have you back to walk us through some other things in the Scriptures.
Hey, listen, the last thing you just said about the family and vocation, now that's going to be stuck in my head.
Intersect right here.
They do.
That's a good place to land the plane.
That's perfect, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.